and welcome back to Football Barbie, where I talk about anything and everything football. I'm going to be talking to you today about Week 18. It's the last and final week for the NFL. Playoffs are next week. Who's excited? Let's get this started and talk to you about who still has a chance to go to the playoffs, who's already eliminated, and who am I predicting for these games. Let's get it started.
Hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?
First up, it's crazy. This is the week where they don't want anybody really determining, and I think it's funny that the NFL, the way they make the schedule, they have all these divisional games now at the very end, like the last few weeks, because this is now what the determining factor is of who's going, and they want you to watch. So let's talk about, there are no Thursday night games this week. It is Saturday and Sunday only. So first up, like I said, I am on the West Coast in Vegas. So we do have Pittsburgh, who is 9-7, at Baltimore, who is 13-3. They are playing Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Now, I don't know if the Ravens are going to play their starters. They, sorry. Sorry. The Ravens, I don't know if they're going to play their starters because obviously they have already clinched the number 1 seed, which means they have home field advantage and they are getting the first round bye. So only the number 1 seeds now will get the home field advantage and the first round bye. However, are they going to play their starters? Because it's really not much of a risk to, why are you going to possibly get your good players injured? Apparently, I heard that, I think it's Odell Beckham. So it said is, chartering, a boat or getting a boat and taking, the players, his offensive players on, a trip. So I'm, people already planning trips because if you got a first round bye, you just clinched the playoffs. It's Odell Beckham's first year. Congrats to him. I was super excited to see how he was going to do. I think he was always an amazing player. So I'm really curious as to, what's going to happen in the playoffs. But even if the Steelers, don't have to play against all of Baltimore's starters, I still think that Baltimore has the better chance to win this game. I mean, maybe it would be closer if Baltimore was, if Baltimore was actually playing their starters. But I think the Ravens will take it. As for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they actually still do have a chance to clinch for the playoffs, but they would have to win this game against the Ravens and have a Buffalo loss. They would also have to win or have Jaguars loss or tie for them to win with a Houston Colts tie, or for the Pittsburgh to tie, Jaguars to lose, Houston and Colts doesn't end in a tie, or Jaguars loss and Denver win and Houston Colts game doesn't end in a tie. So those are the ways that Pittsburgh Steelers can still make the playoffs. Anyway, does anybody not like my absolutely adorable? If anybody's an Eagles fan, I get so many compliments on this onesie. I wear this thing to the airport, all over the place. It is so comfortable. Honestly, if you are a fan of football and you do not have a football onesie, this is not any way promoting the NFL merchandise. I'm just saying this is one of my favorite pieces of NFL football merchandise. Obviously, besides a jersey and my AJ Brown poor bobblehead over here who lost a leg. Gonna have to see if it's even possible to fix. But yeah, so I'm just really curious to see what's gonna happen. I'd be surprised if Pittsburgh does win over the Ravens, but I'm gonna take the Ravens. Next up for the Saturday game, you have, because it's crazy that literally, but you have Houston at the Colts. So this game is obviously really important too, but literally, like I said, the way the games are scheduled this week, you for sure know the schedule makers weren't going to put 2 important games on the same day for the same division. So you have Houston 9-7 at the Colts 9-7, same tie, same record, with Saturday at 5:15 p.m. So there's 2 games on for Saturday, first game and a second game, and these are the 2. So the winner of this game will most likely be in the playoffs and could win the AFC South title if the Jaguars lose to the Titans. The Texans are for sure definitely a different team with CJ Stroud, and he is supposed to be playing. He did play last week pretty well after missing 2 games due to concussion protocol. I think that the Texans will make their run for the playoffs, winning the game here. So Houston will clinch the AFC South title with a Houston win plus a Jaguars loss or tie. Houston clinches the playoffs with a win or Houston tie. Jags loss and Pittsburgh loss or tie. So those are ways that Houston can actually still make the playoffs. If they do win, it looks like they should be in. As for the Colts, if they can clinch AFC South with a win, a Jags loss or tie, or Colts tie and Jaguars loss. As for them clinching the playoffs, the Colts have to either win or Colts tie and Pittsburgh lose or tie. So Houston, these 2 games though are very important for, whoever's going to become the AFC South title divisional winner. So that's probably why the Steelers are on as well for the game. But the next up, let's talk about it. We have, who are the 10 a.m. games? There we go. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Tampa Bay is 8-8 at Carolina. For them, they were 2-14 for the season, having the worst record. So this is your Sunday 10 a.m. game. The Bucs win here. They are winning their division. I am Team Bucs. They didn't look like the team though last week that did win multiple games in a row against the Saints. But they will clinch, like I said, the NFC South title win if they win or they tie and New Orleans loses or tie. So basically, they're kind of neck and neck with New Orleans. If Tampa Bay wins, they will win their division outright. So let's see what happens there. Carolina, though, they didn't score last week against the Jags. Like I said, therefore, Barbie is taking Tampa Bay here. It's pretty easy for that one. I'd be really surprised, honestly. Sometimes football is just like my Eagles lost to the Cardinals, okay? Eagles losing to the Cardinals last week was extremely depressing. It's New Year's Eve. Was not having the best weekend. And then the Eagles lose. I took off my necklace. I took off my jersey. And literally all the memes are going around. I'm like, yep, I feel like that's me. Even though we have, so many wins, 10, 11 wins, whatever the case is now. It's so hard to keep track. Yeah, 11 wins and 5 losses. It's like you're like, you feel like you want your hand yourself, okay? No bueno. No, absolute bueno. Anyway. The next game let's talk about is Cleveland at Cincinnati, another Sunday 10 a.m. game. The Browns Cleveland is 11-5, which go Cleveland, man. Go Cleveland. 11-5. I think they have to be absolutely proud of themselves. They literally did have 2 hurt players, and they are still killing it. Thank God they have Jamar Chase. Cincinnati 8-8. What a change around for this. I was honestly so surprised. I really thought Cincinnati was taking the title for divisional title again. I had a feeling, but injuries, man, and everything else happened to them. So, yeah, the Browns are locked in as a number 5 seed. They might rest some of their players. Who knows? I mean, how long has it been since the Browns been in the playoffs? And especially been 11-5? The Bengals did get themselves eliminated last week, but I think the Bengals may be able to pull off a win because if anybody really should rest their players, it's the Browns. Rest your players. Who cares if you win one more game? At this point, it isn't going to matter. You're already locked into the number 5 seed regardless. Just rest your players. Truly. I think Cincinnati will take that win. Their backup quarterback, what is it, Joe Browning or something, isn't doing that bad for them. So, yeah, I think Cincinnati's going to win this game. Next up, you have Minnesota, who's 7-9, at Detroit, who's 11-5, Sunday, 10 a.m. It's crazy that Detroit, they've already clinched their playoff spot, but they could just be playing for a higher seed. The Lions game last week against Dallas was a very minuscule loss due to however that penalty was that I watched at the end of the game on Saturday. It was extremely close at that end. I did pick Dallas to win. I thought they were going to win it. I didn't think Detroit was going to be able to pull so well. I really wish they would have, honestly, and I would have been wrong. But I think the Lions will pull the win here at home. The Vikings do still have an outside chance on winning the playoffs, but their QB situation is a mess, though they did not look too good last week against Green Bay. So I think I'm just going to take Detroit here for sure. Then you have Chicago at Green Bay, Sunday, 10 a.m. For the Packers this week, it is simple. Win and you're in the playoffs. I think Jordan Love will be a better player this week, and he will be able to get Green Bay into the playoffs. I'm sure that'll feel great for him, considering the fact that I bet a lot of people in Green Bay didn't have as much faith in him as they would have Aaron Rodgers, and then now look what happens. Poor Aaron Rodgers was out for the entire season as of barely playing. So if Green Bay clinches the playoffs with a Green Bay win, or Green Bay tie and Seattle loss or tie and New Orleans loss or tie, Green Bay tie and Seattle loss and Tampa Bay loss, Green Bay tie and Seattle tie and Tampa Bay loss or tie, Minnesota loss or tie and Seattle loss and Tampa Bay loss, Minnesota loss or tie and Seattle loss and New Orleans loss. As for the Bears got themselves eliminated last week. The past few weeks, so I don't understand why they look like they cared about the playoffs so much. They were really just doing well. They played some of the best games they probably have played between this season and last season. Justin Fields was playing well for them. I'm sure the Bears probably don't hate him as much as they did. Are you a Bears fan? Comment down below. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help out my channel. Even if you guys comment negative things, it still helps out my channel. And I will at one point eventually make sure that I do respond to all comments, and especially for playoffs. Let's go. So I am taking Green Bay here over Chicago. I just think it's a better decision, truly. Then you have, let's see, Kansas City, who is 10-6, at the Chargers, who are 5-11, Sunday at 1:25 p.m. So the Chiefs are in the playoffs. So the question was, will they start all of their starters, and how long will their starters actually play for? They have the AFC West divisional title now, so nobody's going to be able to catch them. And the Chargers are basically already headed to off season. They have Easton Stick playing here as their backup quarterback, so I don't think it matters who the Chiefs will play. I think the Chiefs will win it here on the road. Then you have Seattle, which is an important game, 8-8 at Arizona, who is 4-12 after getting that win, I said, against my team last week. I was just like, take everything off. I'm so mad. It was like, is this really happening right now? Is this really happening? I don't think the Eagles are that good to the point that we can make this happen. Sunday, 1:25 p.m. So Seattle needs to win this game in order to have the chance at the playoffs. Seattle clinches playoffs with a Seattle win or Green Bay loss or tie. Seattle tie or Green Bay loss and Tampa Bay loss or tie. Seattle tie, Green Bay loss, and New Orleans loss or tie. So Green Bay loses and Seattle wins. Seattle is in, so this game's very important for this. The Cardinals are playing out the string, but yeah, they played super well against the Eagles last week. I don't even know who the Cardinals were last week. I don't understand why they were out of the playoffs and had to really beat me like that. I was very upset. I think they will give Seattle a run for their money, but Seattle will take it here trying to make those playoff wins. So there's that game. And then we have Denver, who is 8-8, at Las Vegas Raiders, who are 7-9. Sunday, Azula. Sunday at 1:25 p.m. So both of these teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. So Denver did bench Russell Wilson last week, and Jarrett Stidham will start again for the Denver Broncos. I think the Raiders, though, are going to try to play well. I think they want to keep Antonio Pierce, their interim coach. I think he has been doing absolutely fantastic for the Raiders, so I really hope that they keep him. From the Raiders, what their record was last weekend, to almost have a possible way into the playoffs for this season would have been fantastic here. So I think the Raiders will take the win at home. As for Dallas, who is 11-5 at the Washington Commanders, 4-12, Sunday at 1:25 p.m. So if the Cowboys win, they are locking in the NFC title for the East. They barely won last week against the Lions. I don't think they will do that here, though. I think they are going to, for sure, win it for the week. They will clinch, like I said, the NFC East with a Dallas win or a Dallas tie and a Philadelphia tie or a Philly loss. So if Philly loses, as long as Dallas wins, they're clinching the title. And I already have a feeling if the Commanders haven't played too well all season, and I think Dak Prescott is going to have a big game this week. And unfortunately for us as Eagles fans, it looks like Tampa Bay, I have a feeling, will win their division. And once again, the Eagles will be playing Tampa Bay in the playoffs for the first round or whatever round it was because, yeah, I remember, what was it? Not last year, but the year before we played Tampa Bay and then we lost that game. Yeah, it's probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the Eagles played the Tampa Bay Bucks for the first week of the playoffs and we lost. Yeah, because I went to go see Tom Brady that year. And then I'm like, oh, here we go again, rematch. And we looked absolutely awful in that game. So I hope to God that does not happen again because honestly, that is really what I'm foreseeing is Eagles and Tampa Bay because I can't see Dallas losing against the Commanders. I'm not a Dallas fan. A lot of people I know are Dallas fans. And I think Dallas is taking it. As for the Jets, who are 6-10 at New England, who was 4-12 Sunday at 10 a.m., these are two of the worst teams in AFC East, if not almost in the entire division. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers are worse than them, but even the Bears are better than both of these teams. So that is truly saying something at this point. But even though the Bears did beat them, for the record, the Jets didn't look good last week, but they are eliminated. So why bother? You know what I mean? I wouldn't honestly even try that hard. I would obviously try, like I said, unless you really have incentives, there's really no point to keep trying so hard. I don't understand. The Jets did release Dalvin Cook. I don't understand even what happened with that. Like, why wasn't Dalvin Cook getting the ball? I think he's a very talented player. I was really excited to see him with Aaron Rodgers play. But neither one ended up performing. The poor Jets, I feel like, got screwed. I just don't know why Dalvin Cook really, I don't think, got the ball that much. I don't understand what happened there. The Patriots aren't much better, but I think it's Belichick, and he will compete with them. This honestly, apparently, from what the rumors are saying, could be Belichick's last game with the Patriots. Yeah, I can't imagine the Patriots owner is very happy with the 4-12. Therefore, I think that the Patriots are going to take the win here at home. Then you have Atlanta, who is 7-9 at New Orleans Sunday, New Orleans 8-8 Sunday. I'm sorry, this was a 10 a.m. game for Sunday. The winner of this game could win the AFC South, and that is if the Bucs lose to the Panthers. But I won't see that happening. The Saints played well last week against the Bucs. If they win, they may also be able to still win a wild card spot. I think that the Saints are going to take the win here. The Falcons did not do well last week against the Bears. Not sure what has happened to Atlanta this year. But as for the Saints, they will clinch the AFC South with a New Orleans win and a Tampa Bay loss or tie, a New Orleans tie, and a Tampa Bay loss. As for clinching the playoffs for the New Orleans Saints, they have to win and have Seattle lose or tie, or Green Bay lose or tie, or New Orleans tie and Seattle lose and Green Bay lose. The Falcons could clinch the NFC South if they win and Tampa Bay loses. So I don't see that. I'm going to be really curious about that, very sure. Very, 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 very curious. As for Philadelphia Eagles, we are 11-5, and boy, it just does not feel like that this year. Last year, I was ecstatic. I would just like to say every regular season game, though, that I went to this year, thank God it wasn't earlier in the season, we won. We even won against Kansas City when I was there. And I feel sorry for anybody who's a Kansas City fan because your tickets are insanely expensive. And if I thought Eagles tickets were expensive, your guys' tickets are ridiculous. It blows my mind. I cannot believe how expensive your games are. I'm like, thank God I am not a Chiefs fan. I guess that's what happens when you win many Super Bowls. Your tickets are expensive. Which also, if you've never been to the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, I will, at the end of the video, you can watch the Kansas City Chiefs video that I did about their stadium. So anyway, the Philadelphia's playing at the Giants this week, who are 5-11, and that's Sunday at 1 p.m. So the Eagles will lock themselves in already to the playoffs. Basically, I have a feeling we're already going to be the number 5 seed. If Dallas wins their game, like I said, I'm foreseeing, we have been playing horrible. I'm not really sure what's going on with our team. Now, we obviously did lose, like I said, our offensive and defensive coordinator, so we got new ones with that. That does not help us. But we really do need a good game here to get us ready for the playoffs. I was not very happy with the Eagles-Giants game on Christmas. There's nothing like having Christmas dinner and then watching your team almost lose to the Giants, one especially at home, because I always feel like we have it more of an edge at home. But we will clinch NFC East if we win and Dallas loses or ties, and if we tie and Dallas loses. So I don't think there's been any ties at all this season, which I said I feel like ties are effing stupid. They need to do something. Make it fun. Make the kickers kick however many balls in a row and keep backing up. Like, make it fun. Who can throw the longest pass? I don't understand why they don't do that to end a tiebreaker. Let's put the talented team against a talented team and see who's actually more talented. I bet you they'd be finding ringers for kickers if they really did that. As for the Giants, they already obviously out eliminated at the playoffs. I think this is going to be a close one, but I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles will be able to take it here. I just think that Dallas is going to win, so I just kind of think we're stuck at the 5th seed at this point. So, Eagles. Then you have the Rams, who are 9-7, at San Fran, who is 12-4. So obviously the 49ers are already locked in the top seed. They got the home field advantage and the first round bye. I hope for their sake that they do rest some of their players. They did not. They got their, butt handed to them a little bit by the Ravens when they played, and a lot of people are thinking that that's going to be a possible Super Bowl matchup right there. Is the Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. Totally possible. The Rams are in 6th spot and are playing next week in the playoffs, so they could rest people as well. But I think the 49ers are still going to win the game no matter what their decision is on resting players or not. So for the Rams, if you're locked into the 6th seed, if these people are locked in, rest your players, man. Play for like 5 minutes of the game and then rest them. Who cares? Let's see how you rest your people on your string line do, like 2nd and 3rd people. Who cares? Just rest them. There's no point to injure your starter players if you're going to, already locked in. If you're fighting, you fight. But if you're already locked in, let that go. I don't understand why they won't even let that go. Stop fighting so much when you're not locked into the playoffs. So, when you are locked in playoffs. Then we have the Jaguars, who are 9-7 at the Tennessee Titans, who are 5-11. I'm sorry, that was also a Sunday 10 a.m. game. The Jags normally aren't that good at the Titans, but the Titans are eliminated. I think that the Jaguars, regardless if Lawrence does play, will find a way to win the game. So even if Will Levis or Ryan Tannehill for the Titans, the Jags defense is going to, I think, stop them. Therefore, like I said, the Jags, I think, are going to win here, and they're going to win their division. They will clinch the AFC South with a Jaguars win. Jaguars tie and Colts Houston tie. Azula. As for them clinching the playoffs, if they tie and Pittsburgh loses or ties, or Pittsburgh loses and Denver lost or tie and Houston Colts doesn't end in a tie, then they will clinch the playoffs. So they've already basically had a good chance, I think, in the playoffs. So we'll see. Yeah. Then you have Buffalo and Miami. So this is a game, obviously, that, of course, the schedule makers would make this the last game of the night. This winner will determine the winner of the AFC East, as I kind of already thought it was going to in the first place. I thought this game, they were only going to be one difference in points anyway, for the record. So the winner, like I said, the Buffalo is 10-6. Miami is at 11-5. This is the Sunday night, like I said. Clearly, schedule maker did this on purpose. And the Bill and Josh Allen have dominated in Miami during his career. Buffalo can clinch the AFC East divisional title with a win here. They can also clinch the playoffs with a tie, or Pittsburgh loss or tie, Jaguars loss or tie, or Houston Colts tie. I think that, though, Miami is really going to try to push it to win, and that title's having them barely take the win here. Even if they win by 1 point, I think Miami is going to really, really want it, and I hope that they do stop the Buffalo, because Miami was my number 1 AFC team. I didn't think the Ravens were going to do this good at all. I'm really surprised. I can't wait to start doing videos on how teams did from what I thought they were going to do before the season started to how they actually end up doing. So thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Please, like I said, comment and subscribe. It really does mean a lot. I do love y'all so much. Let's go. Almost playoffs. Here we go. Last week of football. Ta-ta for now.